one of the things that Marion was so happy to find out was where the immigrant Baumgartner came from. He spent years searching and finally narrowed it down to the little village of Weilach in Switzerland, just north of Zurich. And I hope that all of you can get there someday. It's just a little village, but there are Baumgartners still there. They probably, the generation we knew, have moved on. But, it's our roots, our whole family roots in that little village that, happened in the 1500s. I guess. Anyway, he traced it back. And we had 2 Baumgartner reunions in Switzerland that were just tremendous. We had lots of help from travel groups, but it was just, they were both just very memorable reunions. And I hope someday that you young people will organize another Baumgartner reunion back to Switzerland. That could happen. When we were there, the older people in the village had a stained glass made. And this has been hanging in our home all these years. And I want to bring it here, and if you will find a place for it, Julie.
For sure.
So I will try to get this open. It has Scotch tape on it. And I put this in my suitcase. And I brought it here, and it's just to remind everybody, all the visitors, that this is a Swiss family in Texas. In Texas. So this is depicting the little village of Weilach. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I've never heard Aunt Mary Lee speak in front of a crowd because Uncle Marion always did it. But you should have been doing some of the talking. You're very good. And she played a very instrumental part in all of his work too. So we don't give her credit, but Aunt Mary Lee, we do love you and appreciate you.
I learned a lot from him too, Julie.
Yes. Well, I'm sure he learned from you.
It was made in heaven, our meeting. I mean, it was just unbelievable that I would meet someone from Texas. I'm a Hoosier, and I was born in southern Indiana from a long line of Hoosiers. And, oh my goodness, I went to Ball State, and my roommate just happened to be the president of the Wesley Foundation. And Marion was always active in the Wesley Foundation at Texas Tech. And he knew a gal called Liz Willis. And Liz became the director of the Wesley Foundation at Ball State. And she planned a weekend retreat for the Wesley Foundation there, and asked Marion, when she found out Marion was at Purdue and he'd just come back from India, she thought, oh, the perfect program for our weekend retreat. So she asked him to come to that weekend retreat, which I went also. And I heard him speak about his experiences in India. And I thought, oh my goodness, if there are men like this in the world, I'm not going to worry about being an old maid and marry the farmer from home. Maybe I could be a missionary too. And I could go to India or some other place. It just sort of opened up some ideas. And I thought he was very interesting, the most interesting person I'd ever met. And so a few weeks after that, I decided to go to Lafayette. I had to take the bus through Indianapolis, and I decided I should go to the Wesley Foundation. Maybe they could tell me how to get a hold of Marion. I didn't know where he lived or had his phone number or anything. I didn't know anything, except I wanted to talk to him about becoming a missionary. Well, I sat in the Wesley Foundation, and he walked in. And he recognized me from having seen me that 2 weeks before. And he asked me what I was doing there. And I said, well, I came to see you. And I guess that impressed him. So he was a graduate student then, working on his master's degree. And it's about 100 miles from Lafayette to Muncie, where Ball State is. And he said, could I take you back to, he asked me how I got there, and I said, well, I came by bus. He said, well, if you'll just wait till tomorrow, I'll take you back to Muncie. Well, I did. I stayed with a friend there in Lafayette. And the next day, he took me to Lafayette, but it just happens that my hometown, Tipton, is about halfway between Lafayette and Muncie. So I said, would you mind if we stopped by my folks' house, and I needed to pick up something? And he said, oh no, I don't mind. And so we went to my parents' house, and when we drove up, my sister was on the porch, the front porch, and she saw us drive up, so she went to the car and gave her a big hug and a kiss even. And she was then about 16. And she nearly fainted. So she fell in love with him. And then my little sister was about 12, and she was so cute. And my family adopted him. My mother said, come in, I just made a cherry pie. So he went in, and we had cherry pie around the kitchen table. And that was how it began. We had a date almost every weekend after that, and he finished just before we were married, and I finished Ball State just about 2 weeks before the wedding. And it was just incredible, just incredible. And my little sister thought it was so neat that Marion was a Texan, that when she met a Texan, when she was in college, she married him. And they live near Lubbock in Plainview. So, I mean, I started a whole different, a different immigration from Indiana to Texas. So it was an incredible life with my husband. And I just thank you for adopting me. And thank you for coming.
Well, you were the catalyst for getting us all together, so that was really
I just had to tell that story.